Welcome to the Principles of Terror Threat Awareness in the Private Security Industry mock test video. Remember to track your score and share your results in the comment section below. Let's dive in. What is the definition of terrorism? Violence or intimidation in the pursuit of political aims. Any form of violence, aggression towards a particular group of people. Answer: violence or intimidation in the pursuit of political aims. Explanation: terrorism is defined as the use of violence or intimidation in the pursuit of political aims. What is the first step in developing a security plan to counter terrorism? Identifying potential targets, conducting a threat assessment, hiring additional security personnel. Answer: conducting a threat assessment. Explanation: the first step in developing a security plan to encounter terrorism is to conduct a threat assessment, which involves identifying potential targets and assessing the likelihood of a terrorist attack. What are the three primary categories of terrorist threats? Physical, cyber, and chemical, domestic, international, and lone wolf, explosives, firearms, and biological. Answer: domestic, international, and lone wolf. Explanation: the three primary categories of terrorist threats are domestic, international, and lone wolf. What is the purpose of a security parameter? To keep people out of a secure area, to keep people in a secure area, to monitor activity in a secure area. Answer: to keep people out of a secure area. Explanation: the purpose of a security parameter is to keep people out of a secure area. What is the best way to prevent a terrorist attack? Enhance security measures at potential targets, increase surveillance of potential attackers, negotiate with potential terrorists. Answer: enhance security measures at potential targets. Explanation: the best way to prevent a terrorist attack is to enhance security measures at potential targets. What is the primary goal of a terrorist attack? To cause death and destruction, to intimidate a particular group of people, to achieve a specific political objective. Answer: to achieve a specific political objective. The primary goal of a terrorist attack is to achieve a specific political objective. What is the role of private security personnel in preventing terrorist attacks? To identify potential threats and report them to law enforcement, to engage in direct confrontation with potential attackers, to negotiate with potential terrorists. Answer: to identify potential threat and report them to law enforcement. Explanation: the role of private security personnel in preventing terrorist attack is to identify potential threat and reporting them to law enforcement. What is the most important characteristic of effective security personnel in a counter-terrorism role? Physical fitness, knowledge and training, ability to use weapons. Answer: knowledge and training. Explanation: the most important characteristic of effective security personnel in a counter-terrorism role is knowledge and training. What is the importance of situational awareness in a counter-terrorism role? It enables security personnel to identify potential threats. It allows security personnel to engage in direct confrontation with potential attackers. It helps security personnel negotiate with potential terrorists. Answer: it enables security personnel to identify potential threats. Explanation: situational awareness is important in a counter-terrorism role because it enables security personnel to identify potential threats. What is the purpose of a security audit? To identify weakness in existing security measures, to assess the effectiveness of security personnel, to review incident reports and identify areas to improvement. Answer: to identify weakness in existing security measures. Explanation: the purpose of a security audit is to identify weakness in existing security measures. What are the four main types of terrorist groups? Religious, environmental, ideological, and separatists, religious, environmental, anarchist, and separatist, religious, environmental, ideological, and anarchist, religious, environmental, communist, and separatist. Answer: religious, environmental, ideological, and anarchist. Explanation: the four main types of terrorist groups are religious, environmental, ideological, and anarchist. Religious terrorist groups are motivated by religious beliefs, while environmental terrorist groups are motivated by concerns about the environment. Ideological terrorist groups are motivated by political or social ideologies, and anarchist terrorist groups are motivated by a desire to overthrow existing political systems. What is the purpose of conducting a risk assessment? To identify potential threats and vulnerabilities, to determine the level of security required, to develop a security plan, all of the above. Answer: all of the above. Explanation: conducting a risk assessment is an important step in developing a comprehensive security plan. It helps to identify potential threats and vulnerabilities, determine the level of security required, and develop a security plan to mitigate those risks. What is the difference between a physical security barrier and a procedural security barrier? Physical security barriers are physical objects that prevent or delay unauthorized access, while procedural security barriers are policies and procedures that control access. Physical security barriers are policies and procedures that control access, while procedural security barriers are physical objects that prevent or delay unauthorized access. There is no difference between physical and procedural security barriers. Both physical and procedural security barriers are types of access control system. Answer: physical security barriers are physical objects that prevent or delay unauthorized access, while procedural security barriers are policies and procedures that control access. Explanation: physical security barriers are physical objects that prevent or delay unauthorized access, such as fences, walls, and gates. Procedural security barriers are policies and procedures that control access, such as ID checks, background checks, and visitor logs. What is the role of private security in preventing terrorist attacks? To gather intelligence and report suspicious activity, to provide physical security for buildings and other assets, to conduct risk assessments and develop security plans, all of the above. Answer: all of the above. Explanation: private security plays a critical role in preventing terrorist attacks. They gather intelligence and report suspicious activity, provide physical security for buildings and other assets, and conduct risk assessment and develop security plans to mitigate potential threats. What is the main purpose of using a metal detector? To detect concealed weapons or other prohibited items, to detect criminals from entering the premises, to identify potential threats before they become dangerous, all of the above. Answer: to detect concealed weapons or other prohibited items. Explanation: the main purpose of using a metal detector is to detect concealed weapons or other prohibited items, such as knives or guns, before they can be used to harm others. What is a terrorist threat? An international act of violence committed against civilians for or ideological reasons. A random act of violence with no discernible motive. An accident or natural disaster that causes harm to people. Answer: an international act of violence committed against civilians for political or ideological reasons. Explanation: it's important to understand what a terrorist threat is in order to recognize it and respond appropriately. What are some common signs of terrorist activity? Unusual interest in security measures, suspicious behavior such as taking pictures or notes, both A and B. Answer: both A and B. Explanation: these are just a few examples of the types of behavior that may indicate terrorist activity. It's important to be aware of these signs and report any suspicious activity to the appropriate authorities. What is the See Something, Say Something campaign? A government initiative to encourage citizens to report suspicious activity. A social media trend that encourages people to share photos of suspicious behavior. A training program for private security personnel. Answer: a government initiative to encourage citizens to report suspicious activity. Explanation: the See Something and Say Something campaign is a national initiative that encourages people to report suspicious activity to law enforcement. Private security personnel can play an important role in this effort by being vigilant and reporting any suspicious activity they observe. How can private security personnel can help prevent terrorist attacks? By being vigilant and reporting suspicious activity, by conducting through background checks on employees and visitors, by implementing advanced security measures such as biometric scanners and facial recognition technology. Answer: by being vigilant and reporting suspicious activity. Explanation: while advanced security measures may be helpful, the most important thing that private security personnel can do to prevent terrorist attacks is to be vigilant and report any suspicious activity to law enforcement. What should you do if you encounter a suspicious package or object? Touch it to see if it's dangerous. Move it to a safe location. Call the appropriate authorities immediately. Answer: call the appropriate authorities immediately. Explanation: it's important to never touch a suspicious package or object as it may be dangerous. Instead, call the appropriate authorities immediately and follow their instructions. What is situational awareness? The ability to recognize and respond to potential threats. The ability to blend in with your surroundings. The ability to communicate effectively with others. Answer: the ability to recognize and respond to potential threats. Explanation: situational awareness is a key skill for anyone working in the security industry as it allows you to identify potential threats and take appropriate action. What is the difference between a terrorist attack and a criminal act? A terrorist attack is politically motivated, while a criminal attack is not. A terrorist attack targets civilians, while a criminal act targets individuals or specific groups, both A and B. Answer: both A and B. Explanation: while there are many similarities between terrorist attacks and criminal acts, the key difference is that terrorist attacks are politically motivated and designed to create fear and panic among civilians. What is the role of private security personnel in responding to a terrorist attack? To provide first aid and evacuate the area, to engage the attackers and neutralize the threat, to support law enforcement and emergency responders. Answer: to support law enforcement and emergency responders. Explanation: while private security personnel may be called upon to assist in responding to a terrorist attack, their primary role is to support law enforcement and emergency responders. That's the end of the video. And don't forget to let us know your result in the comments. Do leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more informative content.